Sorry, guys, I could not get it to go live today. I swear, 3 different browsers and 3 different things. It is just nuts. StreamYard is about to drive me batty. I may hurt it soon. In order to be able to show you cameras today, I have to be able to share 2 different cameras, which means I've got to come in through a different browser, which will not let me go live. And my microphone is hanging down at my knees. See if I can fix this. All right, so today we're going to talk about a Merrow stitch. Some of you may know what it is. Others may have no clue. So I'm going to share with you what it actually is. It is a stitch that is an overlock stitch. Basically, there are specific machines that create a Merrow stitch, and they use it to border patches, okay? Well, some softwares have built into their program a Faux Merrow stitch. So I'm going to share my screen with you here and let you kind of see what it is. So if you look at it, it's kind of got a little, it's like a serged edge, but it's got a little spacing in between. So I've played around with it a bit and think I've figured out what I like. So I'll go over to my other camera and let you kind of see that first. And then we'll play with creating it. And then we will actually stitch one. So let me switch cameras here for just a minute. And there you go. So if you look at this, you can see how there are spaces in between. Now I have about 20 different versions of this stitch, and I found some stitches that I like by making this, because I really do like this stitch right here, but it's not truly a Merrow stitch because, or it doesn't do the Faux Merrow stitch because there's not enough space between the stitches. But this one right here is the one I ended up going with. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I mean, as you can see, I got to where I forgot what number I was on, so I started putting a number in the center of them as I went through them while I was creating them. When I started, I wasn't that smart. So just letting you know, that's where I think I'm going with. I think if you all look at that, and those of you that are familiar with a Merrow stitch, then you probably understand what I'm talking about. That's the look we're going for today. So let's see if we can get started on that. Let me go over here and hit PEDESIGN. And let's see here, share my screen. That would be that one right there. Okay. So I'm going to hit new page, and we're not going to save this, and we're going to go into the Programmable Stitch Creator. Now, this is what we're going for. So I'm going to show you how we did. So yeah, Vicki, this one's not, to make it work, it was not the fastest thing I've ever done. So if you look here, I've got 8 spokes across this top. No, wait, let's see here. 3, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7 spokes across the top. And I've got them spaced 8 blocks apart. And cheater's way of knowing this, my axis is at the smallest grid size. And I have it with, basically, I've got my with axis instead of just the plain dots. But every big mark here is 8 squares. So we're going to start new, and I'm going to show you how I did this. All right. So the first thing I did was just kind of cheat here and went across and made myself marks for 7 stitch points. So I believe we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should get us. All right. So that was my first item. Okay. So we are going to come and take this, add an edit point down at the bottom, and we are in new motif. Just to be clear with that, we're doing a motif stitch, and we're going to take that one to the top left corner. All right. And we are going to go 23 in. Okay. Don't ask me how I came up with that number. It just worked. So if I go and I count 3 little lines, that would be 24, right? So we're going to go 23 in and take that one down to the bottom. All right. Now we're going to click back and add another point, and we're going to take it up to the second grid square. And then we're going to bring it straight back down, and we're going to go just above the one that just above that. If you look down here at the bottom, you can see I'm just above it, and we will change the position of that as we go along, but that's where we're going to start with it being, okay? And we're going to do that for all of these. So we're going to come back up and create another spoke. And I'm going to bring it back down. We're going to go down 1 grid square across. And then we're going to take this one back up to the top. And we'll bring it back down to that one. I'm going to basically tap it on top of that one to where it's a straight line right now. We'll adjust that here in a minute. Then we're going to go over here. And we're going to bring this one down all the way down that grid square apart. And then take it back up and bring it back down just above. Oops. And then take it back up. And we're going to bring it back down all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so that's our basic shape to start with. Now, this one right here is going to have to go down as well. And so we're going to add another point here and delete that one. And this is actually the one that would be 23 over. So we're going to move everybody over 1 grid square. There we go. All right. So this is where we are so far. Now I'm going to turn off my grid for just a minute. And we're going to zoom in down here at the bottom. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab my edit node tool. And then I'm going to grab me a little, basically I clicked to make myself a little guideline here again. This gives me the capability of being able to get these in a halfway in mode. So let's turn my grid on again and get these right. So this one needs to be right here. Oh, no, wrong one. This one needs to be down here. This one would be an up one. Then this one would go down. And then this would be an up one. And this would go down. And then this would be an up one. Kind of. Did I mess that up? Seems like I'm missing one. Ah, yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, let's get these futzed with. So these ones that are halfway in, we're going to take them to where they're halfway in between their parent. Okay. So this is basically this is where we started out from. Okay. Now, we are going to put that large one back in and we're going to turn our grid back on. So we're back to the smallest grid we can get, and that's where we want to go with it. And we're going to zoom out a little bit. So now, my little start and stop points are dependent on each other, okay? Wherever I take one down, the other one comes up, and they can only get so close together. So that is as close as they can get together. This is really where we're looking for to get them about. And we're going to put them on that 8 grid square up mark, which would be that long line right there. That's kind of an easy cheater's way of figuring out how to get that to go. And we are then going to take this one and we are going to drag it across. And we're going to come down here and we're going to put it 1 grid square up. I believe. No, 2 up. Nope, 1 up. I'm right. Okay. And then 2 over, basically. Okay, so now we should have a line going across there. And we're going to take this and we're going to move it right there. We'll come back to this again just because this is how we're making our line. We're going to go straight across. I want it to go 3 times. So this is number 2. And then we're going to come back out here again and we're going to add another one. Oh, wait. I messed that up. Hold on. Delete. Delete. Okay, so I want to add another point. We're going to take that down and then we're going to take this over. We're going to add another one up. And then we're going to add another one right there. Okay. And then this guy right here is going to go down 2 over. And then this guy right here is going to come right in there. All right. From there, we got to decide, if you look over here, this is in my preview window. This is what we've got so far. And you can see how they're overlapping each other, which is what I want. But we want to do a few other little tricks. So if I look at my triangle on the bottom, that's right. Let's see here. So this one right here, I wanted it to be 9 in, which would be 1 over from this, okay? And this is how I played with to get it where I wanted it to go. And to make sure that they all go at the same time, if you just highlight around them, they'll all go at the same time. And then this one, I wanted 13 from the last node. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, that's easy enough. One past there. That is my basic stitch. Okay. So I'm going to save this one and we'll call it, we're going to do save as, and we'll call it Merrow Live, just so we can remember what we're doing here. Okay. So yes, Vicki, when you have a grid on, it snaps to grid. So that's why I turned the grid off when I was moving those in between nodes. So if I come down here and look at these in between nodes, my goal is that those in between nodes are basically sitting on the same plane. You don't have to be exact, but you're trying to get them on the same plane, and you want them underneath this stitch right here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to add and make that go right there, just so that it makes a nice little triangle across the top of it. And we'll save that. But this is what you're looking for. So you can see that my pieces are overlapping. I've got one stitch that doesn't overlap, and that's fine. So now, when you go to your shapes tool, if you think about a Merrow machine, or about, let me come up here and talk to you for just a second. If you think about a serger, you don't do sharp points trying to keep it going all at the same time, right? You take gentle curves. So if you're trying to do a rectangle, then you would do a rounded rectangle, not a sharp-edged cornered rectangle. So I'll kind of show you your different options of using the stitch. So we're going to come in. Let me just start a whole new session of this so that we start clear. All right, I'm going to grab my shape tool and I'm going to grab the circle tool. We'll start with the circle first. We're going to turn off our fill stitch for now, and we're going to change it to a motif stitch. And then we're going to come in and we're going to choose our, where's the one we did? Faux Merrow Live. I'm guessing that's my live one. And we're going to come in and we're just going to draw ourselves a circle. And you'll notice that is one thing I didn't show you when I went to save this. So I did a file, save as. I saved it, the default size as 5 millimeters. That means from the top to the bottom of that stitch should be 5 millimeters when it's around a circle or on any shape. So if you look at it, the default size, if we come in here, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know what I've got. From here to here, it's about 5 millimeters. Now, the next thing we need to do, though, is change the run pitch on this. It looks like it's a little bit big. It looks like it's giving me half stitches. So we're going to come in and change the run pitch to where it's 5.7. That works. Okay. So that's our basic stitch. Now, if I'm doing a rectangle, let me show you what it would look like with a rectangle. So if I come in and I try a rectangle, you'll notice how the corners don't quite do exactly what you're looking for. And if you're trying to turn this into a patch, that's not going to be pretty. So my suggestion to you is to do a rounded rectangle. You can choose the rectangle tool if you want to. You can still do a rounded rectangle, but you have to select your amount of rounding before you start drawing. So if I come in here and I choose my edge radius of 5 millimeters, that's just a slight round, but it gives it enough to where you can see you have a nice patch look instead of any gaps. Okay. Now, for both of these, if I were going to stitch both of these, we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to act like we're doing a patch. I'm going to do create offset lines, and I'm going to go outward, and we're going to do 2.5 because it's a 5 millimeter stitch, basically. So we're going to preview what 2.5 would be, and that's about in the center of that. That's fine. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to change that stitch to a running stitch. And we're going to change its color. We'll change the color to red. Oh, wow, that went too far out. Okay, that's not what I want. So let's try that again. We'll try that again. I don't know what I did differently, but I did something differently. I'm going to change that to a different color just so that we're not sticking on time. It is a Faux Merrow Stitch. I swear 2.5 is what I said. Preview. That should be where I want it. Say OK. Change it to a running stitch. Not where I want it to be. Interesting. Okay. So let's delete it again. I did this earlier, but let's go with 1 and say OK. Let's change that to a running stitch and change the color. So 1 is my number. We're going to take that and put it to the front because we're going to act like we're making a patch, okay? Therefore, I need a stitch that I can trim around. So I'm going to come again here, create an offset line. Once again, I'm going to change that to 1 and preview it, and we'll say OK, which is so weird. When I did that earlier, it did not need that. Change the color, and we'll change it to a running stitch. But that's what it needs. So let's change it to green so we can see it. All right. So now we are going to send these to the machine so that we can do them both in the same hoop and you guys can see what it looks like stitching. I'm going to do send, and I'm going to send it over to Rhoda. Rhoda is my Luminaire. Oh, yay, it did it nicely this time. The name of this stitch is a Merrow stitch, okay? And it's a faux Merrow because the only way to get a true Merrow is to have the Merrow machine, and we don't have a Merrow machine. We're mimicking that with an embroidery machine. So let me switch my cameras, and we will go. Okay, guys. So I'm going to tap my screen, and we're going to go into embroidery, and we're going to go into our memory pocket. And I'm going to touch my wireless icon and slide down. It'll be the last one on my list. Here we go. And we'll say set. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I forgot to move my, so we're going to hold on a minute. I'm going to go back to my screen because I just remembered something. I forgot to move this forward. Now let's send it again. Sharon, it's used in patch making. So if you're doing a patch or an applique stitch, let's touch our wireless key again and bring it back in. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and touch embroidery. And we're going to let it stitch the first stitch here for me. Let me get out of your way so you can watch it stitch. And I've just got a piece of tearaway in here. Normally I would use a wash away, but I've got a piece of tearaway in here. I've got my machine threaded, and we're going to go ahead and stitch the circle first. And I'm going to take it out and I'm going to trim it up here. I'll show you when I get it trimmed real quick. I'm not going to try to show you how I trim it. I'm just going to trim it. So give me just a sec. Now I do have the same color of thread in my bobbin as in the top. Just because if I were making a patch, that would be what I would do. And you want to trim close to your line. You could always cut it out with a scan and cut. I just didn't want to have to deal with a second machine today. So this one is ready to go. So see, I've trimmed it up to the stitch line. Let's slide it back in and let it finish its thing. So Vicki, yeah, there's a lot of testing to go on to try to perfect a stitch. And it just depends on how, especially since I don't have a Merrow machine and didn't have one in front of me, I went with what I think it should look like. I mean, it looks like most everybody else's on the screen. So I think, and I like the way it looks as a stitch. So whether mine's a true Faux Merrow stitch or my own version of it, I like this stitch. I think it turned out really nice. There are some, like I said, in my doing of this stitch, some of them I made more dense and less far apart. And I liked those stitches, but it wasn't what you guys were looking for. So I will probably keep them and just won't call them a Merrow stitch, just simply because I like the way they looked. I tried to, the more times you go around that triangle down at the bottom, the heavier that break is. So, I mean, I first started with 4, and I think 3 is the route to go. That's what I ended with. 4 was a little bit too heavy for this particular method. So there's the circle, and now we're going to do the rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and throw my square of fabric down on here. And we'll just take it up a little bit so y'all can see it. And we're going to do the same thing with this. And while it's stitching, I'll come back and answer questions after I get it trimmed up. But if you make your own stitch, then you can make it whatever size you want it to be. So if you can make your patch any size you need it to be. And for those of you that don't have double curved embroidery scissors, I highly suggest them. They're the best thing since sliced bread when you're trying to do this. But they do need to be sharp. Okay, so we're trimmed. We're ready to pop it back in. And we'll let that finish up. Sorry, you're going to have to see me walk across the camera. There you go. Okay. Okay. Would I have to create a separate stitch to have different widths? No. So if you wanted it even wider, you can just change the size of the stitch. So if you come back over here, see how this right here is set at 5 millimeters. If I want it to be bigger, I can make that 10 millimeters. I'm just going to have to change that run pitch length so that it doesn't do those in between stitches. But 10 is probably too big for this stitch. So let's make it 8. Yep, there you go. Then you don't get the in between stitches. 8 is probably your best bet. The longest I would go with it. And really 7 is probably 7, if y'all realize that is my maximum length for a satin stitch. And since this is a satin stitch, that's as long as I would take it. I mean, because this is essentially a satin stitch when you get it done. But yes, it can be done. Now you could also, you see how mine are overlapping there. Maybe I don't want them to overlap that much. So let's come back in here and see about moving these little guys right here in a little bit. Or out. Let's go out. Vote, and we'll do 2 live. And let's see what that changes. So if I come in here and I grab vote 2 live and we go back to it. There's my stitches. Oh, where is that? Faux 2 live. There we go. And that's not quite as overlapping. It's still got some overlap, but not as much. So maybe I'd come in and adjust this side over here. But as I change that, you're going to notice that my preview window, these stitches right here don't overlap as much. And that's one of my goals, is that those overlap. So we're going to change this and we'll make it a faux 3 live. So let's see what that does. Let me find my mouse and bring it back over here. Oh, 3 live. Did I not hit save? I did. There. No. There it is. So we're getting closer to where they're not overlapping, but we're losing some of the overlap over here. That's probably as far as I would take that. Just saying. Okay. Let's see here. Yep, I agree. Well, I'm not a duck-billed scissors kind of girl. I like my double curved embroidery scissors because I can get right up along that edge. And it just does, for me, that's an easier way to do it. Let's see here. So we're on my live. So yeah, the thread brand I'm using is Brother. I can say a brand regardless, but I have Brother on my machine today. And that's usually 99.9% of the times what I have. But other than that, I have some Exquisite thread. I have some Isacord thread. Those are pretty much the 3 brands that I use. There's a new brand out there that I've been trying. It's called Candle, and I kind of like it as well. I've had good luck with it so far. It's got more colors than Brother does, but most of the time I use Brother thread just simply because I know it's going to run very well. All right, let me switch cameras and we'll take you over and let you see what the one that we did turned out like. And it actually turned out very nicely. I like this. So That's the circle. And if we come in here and we tear away our stabilizer, we're going to act like we made our patch here. Normally it would be a wash away, but if you look there, can you see? And then flip it. So that's your faux merrow stitch. And it's used for making patches. Now, like I said, I would not use a tearaway on this because you'll see the tearaway, but for today, that was the easiest way with me without me having to get water. That's what it looks like, though, from the front and from the back. Not too shabby. I kind of like that. Okay, guys. Come back over here. All right, let me see here. All right, other questions for me today, guys. That one did take some figuring out. I will say that was not my instant ready to go, but I can show you some other versions that I have. Now, guys, if you're part of the Education Connection, I will donate this stitch for you for a good 2 weeks, okay? I'll go ahead. And if you're not, go join it, and I'll put it up there for you and leave it up there for a good 2 weeks. It may end up someplace else later, but you can have it for now. I created it. I'm willing to give it away. So Anne says she uses Brother and Exquisite and Floriani. And that's fine. So I'm going to come and show you a few other versions that I did, and you can kind of see the difference. So if you look here, I tried putting 2 together. I didn't like that. I tried this, making it double up, and I did like this look. I'll have to tell you. I like this look, but it didn't have as much space between them. So I could have adjusted that with my spacing a little bit, but it is, I mean, it's a heavier stitch. And I did like the look. Okay, so that is something you could also adjust, as you can adjust your spacing. Let's see here. What other one did I like? I think it was number 10, maybe, no, 11. Number 11 I liked. Let's go back to the default settings on it as well. So it's a heavier stitch, going to have a heavier cover. Once again, I would probably increase that spacing if I were on a circle. On a rectangle, I'm not sure. Let's go look and see what it looks like on a rectangle. What was that one? Number 10? Or was it 11? So let's look at the corner over here. And it's because it kind of jams up in that corner. That one may not be our fine. Oh, that works better if you space them out a little bit. But that's going to give you a heavier edge on the cover, okay? Well, Cindy, I don't have a problem with them snapping closed. I have a problem with the dang label staying on the thread. So that drives me nuts that the label will not stay on the thread. So I end up writing the number on top of it if it actually arrives at my house with the number on it. I'll write the number on the top of the spools just so I can know what it is. Otherwise, I've got the thread chart with me, and I'll go match up my numbers to see what's what. Split lettering in CanvasWorkspace. Oh, okay. Let me think about that. Let me go to CanvasWorkspace. I mean, the labels falling off is the PETA factor on that is very large. But I suggest you guys play and try and make your own and see what you come up with as far as your version of that stitch. I would love to see your versions of it. because you know, everybody's going to have a little bit different take on it. DJ had a little different take on it. I can show with you what he showed me. And he's the one that got me, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to have, he's the third person that's asked about this Merrow stitch. Let me show you what his looks like. And so he sent me his last week. And this is what his looks like. So this is what it looks like in the software. This one, it's this one right here. He did 2 little pieces of it. Let me show you. Let's open it. So come over to the Programmable Stitch Creator and let's find it. There, that's his. So this was the stitch that he created, and that's what took me on this journey. Okay, oops, you can't see what I'm doing here. This is the stitch that he created. And it's close, but I felt like it needed to, the stitches, when I watched others go, I felt like that it needed to cover the bottom of that. But that one's very close, okay? But I mean, there's tons, and this is what his looks like stitched, if we go and look at it. So it's close, just not quite what I was looking for. And let's put it back to default spacing. So especially if you're wanting to go around a curve, on that one, you would need to reduce your spacing a bit. But there you go. I mean, it still works. It's very similar. Just depends. Okay. Oh. I am sharing the screen now, but I wasn't there for a minute. You're correct. His is just a little bit thinner than mine was, and I needed to adjust the spacing. So if you look, there it is. All right, so let's go to CanvasWorkspace. Let me find it. Okay, split letter. All right, so we're going to come in here. How about we do a capital A? Y'all are making me think today. Now, the first thing you got to decide is, where do you want to split it? I'm going with a big honking letter here, and I'm going to split it across the center right here. Okay. Let's see here. Let me go to my edit. And I think I need to convert this to a shape first. We'll try it without doing that, but I think I need to convert it to a shape. I'm going to grab a rectangle here and put it down over the center and shape it the way I want it shaped. And let's see if it'll let me do what I want to do. I'm going to grab them both, and we are going to divide. If I delete that, there you go. There's your split letter. You want me to do that again? Did that make sense? So let's start it again. So we're going to come in. First of all, we're going to grab our text tool and touch the capital A and press enter. Now I'm going to make it big. And we're going to come in and we're going to grab our shapes tool, and I grabbed a rectangle and just clicked it to put it in. And then you can decide how big you want that rectangle to be as far as that goes. Put it where you want it to divide it. Grab the whole kit and caboodle and do, let's see what remove overlaps does. Remove overlaps does it too. That was actually probably easier, because then I can just take that one piece away. There you go. But it is the easy button. If we go back to our staples, the easy button, that's an easy one. I just had to think about it for a minute. Okay, but what else we got? So here's Sandra's. Yep, she's not a duck bill, as it kind of can hit the hoop. My problem with the duck bill is I can never get it as close as I want. I think my hands just don't work that way. Yeah, the label's falling off. Is the PETA factor on that is large. Okay. What else? I don't see any other questions, guys. So that is a single split letter, but you could do multiples as well. Let's see what happens if we do Mary. I don't like that one as well. Let's go back to the antique Oakland. It was prettier or nicer, I guess I should say. All right, let's see what happens if we try to do the whole word. See if it lets me do it. Remove the overlap. Yep, there you go. Sweet. No, that split design can't be used with, no. What I just did here is CanvasWorkspace. So that's creating an FCM file for the scan and cut, okay? That would not work on the persona. The persona, I believe, has an entire category of design of letters that are split letters. I think. Let's go look. Support. Let's see here. If we do a product search and we search for the PRS 100, there it is. Let's see here real quick. And let's see here, manuals. If we go into Embroidery Design Guide, let's see if it lets us see what we've got. I thought it had the split letters in it. I'd be darned, it does not. So did you get any software with your PRS 100? What software do you have? Obviously, you must have some because you're watching here. Otherwise, you wouldn't. There are letters. Yes, Jackie. You can save those to a USB or transfer them back over to your computer to CanvasWorkspace wirelessly, however you want to do it, and then you can take them into BES and turn them into an applique. But if you had BES, or even if you have PEDESIGN 11, I do believe if I hit new page here and I go into my text, if I go into that last category of letters, I do believe, let's see what we've got in here. Come on. Ugh. BESBlue. BESBlue does have, hold on. Since I've locked that up, we'll open up BESBlue. And since I don't support Embroidery programs, I don't have them. So, all right, let's see here. Here's our blue. I do believe if we go into our add design, and if you go down through here, you should see split designs. You have numbers, and you have two different fonts. So this gives you some options. It's not the same ones that we've got on the machine, but you've got that capability. You've got those here. PEDESIGN is locked up on me. Hold on a second. I got to end that process because it is not happy. Okay. I do believe for those of you that do have PEDESIGN, though, I do believe that's one of the fonts that we have. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here you go. Sample font. So this is the one that is the split letter design that's on the machines. It's just in a different coloration. Let's see here. That is a pretty big design, so let's put it in the hoop size that it should be in. So for those of you that have PEDESIGN 11 in your alpha mapping files, there is the sample, and it's sample 03 split L. Okay. All right, guys. If there is nothing else today, I guess I am going to say goodbye for the day. I don't think I have anything else up my sleeves currently. Send in your questions for next week because, as you know, things are getting busy at this time of year. So if there's something that you really want to know, send me in your question beforehand. Sandra, yours may not get answered next week, just simply because that one's going to take me some time. Your question is a little bit more time than I've got for. Yes, if you had a bowling pin, you can certainly do the same thing. Any shape can be done the same way that I did that. Any shape can be done, okay? Because that's what it's looking at. It's looking at different shapes. Now, it does need to be a closed shape. Otherwise, it's probably not going to recognize that it would have been, that it can be filled. So, for instance, let's say I drew something and I didn't close it in. If I try to split that shape, I don't think it will let me. But we'll see. See, it's not allowed because it has an open path. So in order for that to be split, it needs to be closed. So I would have to tap it twice and close that shape. Now, if I grab it, it'll let me remove the overlap. Okay. So imagine your bowling pin was the same way. Just so long as it has that it's a closed shape, it should work. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, I will talk to you. See y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Y'all have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Let's see if I can end this stream. Sheila, yes, I will be getting an Avenir. I am full up, but we'll be the Luminaire will go out of this room and something else will take its place. So, you know, the Luminaire goes away, the Avenir comes in. We will not get ours until you guys get yours, and the prototypes that have been shipped around get back into the warehouse, and they put the power supply unit back in it and give it a brain. So that's when we get ours. After the ones that have been shipped around the world get back to us, then that's when we get them. So, all right, guys, y'all, see you later. Bye.